Arise, transcend thyself. Thou art man, and the whole nature of man is to become more than himself. If you only do what you can do, you will never be better than you are. A very good morning, Reverend speakers, Anjali ma'am, Promini ma'am, Asha ma'am, teachers, and my dear fellow Japanese. The fifth edition of the spiritual retreat was not a matter of chance. There surely was a divine will behind this. When I say this, I get reminded of a few lines from Sri Aurobindo's Savitri. This world is not built with random bricks of chance. A blind God is not destiny's architect. A conscious power has drawn the plan of life. There is a meaning in each curse and line. With these deep and thoughtful lines, let us commence with the closing ceremony for the fifth edition of the spiritual retreat. Yamvada, would you like to give your feedback from the sessions you attended in the spiritual retreat?
So I will start off by a quote by Sri Aurobindo. So he said, and I quote, "Everyone has in him something divine, something his own, a chance of perfection and strength in however small a sphere which God offers him to take or refuse. The task is to find it, develop it, and use it. The chief aim of education should be to help the growing soul to draw out that in itself which is best and make it perfect for a noble cause." This quote by Sri Aurobindo perfectly describes the ideology of our school, which is to make students spiritual beings who are closer to the divine and make efforts to raise our consciousness so that one day we are the harbingers of a noble cause. Like Promini ma'am had said earlier in a meeting, that not many students take part in this retreat, but those who do come out as totally different people. God offers everyone a chance to be closer to Him, to be spiritual. But a multitude of people and students back off, thinking that it is something for the older population. And the youth need not mingle with this concept of spirituality. But in these past few days, I have realized that it is not the truth. Anyone, however old or young, can be spiritual. The only requirement is to be willing to raise our consciousness, to be closer to the divine, to be thirsty for the truth, and to be a vessel that is ready to learn beautiful things. As I said, not many people venture out on this path, but those who do undergo a metamorphosis and convert into extraordinary beings who experience eternal bliss and finally Satchitanand. They become the very instruments of the divine through which he plays the beautiful music. There are innumerable things that I have learned in these past few days by the various guest speakers and wonderful personalities. I can feel that I and everyone else here have become more enlightened, more self aware, and more conscious. All of us here are spiritual beings now, ready to walk on the path that is meant for extraordinary and extraordinary only. Thank you so much, Anjali ma'am, Promini ma'am, all the speakers, all the teachers, my friends who have been such a vital part of this journey. This was just one of many more to come. Thank you so much.
So beautifully written. Your experience of all these days has been captured so beautifully. Thank you, Prempada.
Ma'am, the credit is all yours. Sarthak, would you like to give your feedback?
These 4 days have been so magical for us. It is tough to describe them properly in words, but there is this beautiful shloka from Gita, chapter 18, verse 6, that ma'am also mentioned. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriday sherjun tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. This means that the divine light is seated in the hearts of every being. It is the one which guides us throughout our life towards the right path. And all we need to do is to open ourselves to it, is to recognize it consciously. I can never tell how exhilarated I am after hearing all the sessions of the great visionaries on very fundamental topics like what people often say when a difficulty arises. It is God who has punished us. It is God who is testing us. But no, we learned that God never punishes or tests us. He is all love, who wants us to progress further. And every difficulty that we face is a larger opportunity that we have to transform and evolve ourselves because we are transitional beings. We learned that interesting stories told by Sampadanand Mishra ji of Upanishads, where the different mindset leads to different interpretations. The same the meant compassion for someone, the same the meant giving or charity for the other. And we also learned that God is the Bhagya Vidhata, not the Bhagya Nirmata. We are the ones who create our destiny. We can't blame God for bringing all the difficulties in our life. We are the one who do a particular task, and the ball we throw is the ball we get. We learned that our life is owned by the soul, driven by the mind, and runs by the vital fuel. Therefore, I present my immense gratitude to all the teachers and Jaipuria School for giving all of us this golden opportunity, which not only gives us subjective knowledge, it gives us spiritual knowledge and differentiates between what our soul is and what the other's soul is, how enlightened we are and how conscious we are. So I would just like to say these lines which I have written in Hindi. जिस प्रकार अंतर मन को हमारे किया गया है प्रकाशवान, जिस प्रकार अंतर मन को हमारे किया गया है प्रकाशवान, जिस प्रकार परम ज्योति के प्रति मिला है हमें असीम ज्ञान, आप सबके प्रति कृतज्ञता व्यक्त पूर्णतः तो कभी ना कर पाएंगे। आप सबके प्रति कृतज्ञता व्यक्त तो पूर्णतः कभी ना कर पाएंगे, पर उस प्रदत्त ज्ञान को संचित करके उसे जीवन में अवश्य लाएंगे। Thank you so much, ma'am. I still can't express full gratitude in words. Thank you, ma'am.
Beautiful. Have you written this poem?
Yes, ma'am, I wrote this. Wrote these lines.
What Hindi? Beautiful selection of words and what a feeling. Beautiful, beautiful. Lag raha hai ki haan, we are doing something beautiful is being done by the Divine in Jaipuria School. In Seth Hemar Jaipuria School, something divine is happening. Very
Thank
good.
you, ma'am.
Excellent, excellent.
Aviral, would you like to share something?
First of all, good morning, everyone. And I would like to pay my immense gratitude to Mrs. Anjali Jaipuria ma'am and Promni Chopra ma'am for organizing such an enlightening session. I was new to Jaipuria school and I was never known about spiritual retreat. So when I got to know that it is something spiritual, then a certain spark and certain inner being triggered me to attend spiritual retreat. And now I feel my decision to attend spiritual retreat is very helpful and it's a path for me to transform myself consciously. I used to think that during the COVID time when my mother was down due to COVID, I feel that this is a punishment to me and to my mother and to my family by God. But after attending the session, I got to know, no, it's not a punishment by God. It is like you can say it's an opportunity or it's a part for us because I got to learn that how to take care of my house in absence of my mother. Like I can't say that it was very helpful to me to improve my personality. And I also got to know that how can I overcome my habit of brooding, as well as I used to argue with my parents. So we should not argue with them. We should understand their feeling and the way they scold us because there is a love behind that. And the love to improve us and to transform us. And I also got to know to connect to my inner being to transform my outer being. And this was all helpful and all immense gratitude to Anjali ma'am and Promni ma'am for giving me such a golden opportunity and a golden platform to transform myself. Thank you so much, Anjali ma'am. Thank you so much, Promni ma'am.
Thank you, Aviral.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Fulfilling to hear you all. Very fulfilling.
Aviral, thank you so much. And to you, I must say one thing.
Yes,
You know,
ma'am.
people say that catch the children very young, and when they're very young, they change. They're in a school, it impacts them. I had the opportunity to speak to you even about Sanskrit,
Yes,
and I
ma'am.
really felt that, our school offers a lot of things, but you are one child who's not been with us for quite a few years. But as soon as you entered, you've tried to take everything that the school offers. So opportunities are there at everyone's door, but and they do not keep on knocking. But you've taken every opportunity that's come your way, and you've involved yourself so deeply in it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, these words are very, like, I can't express, ma'am. These words are very helpful to me to improve more and more and progress more.
Yes,
Definitely, that will happen. Truly, truly thankful for His grace that you are there and you're taking all that Anjali ma'am wishes to offer through all her love. That's her aspiration. And sometimes when we see very few children, in the beginning of the spiritual retreat, when I saw children not registering, and we kept on, Deepa ma'am kept on sending multiple messages and then Google form and everything. So there was, I was disheartened a little. But then I said, no, I don't have to be disheartened. Even if one life changes, you see, if Anjali ma'am brought this over here, then some 30 of you are with her. So 30 have changed. Now these 30 will change 94. So that's how I look at it. So we'll keep on doing this work. And you're going to be our resource.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I would say just one thing more. Ma'am, I was not encouraged by my friends to attend spiritual retreat. It was me, ma'am. Ma'am, I used to listen to bhajans and all, and I heard Anjali ma'am. I was so enlightened by her. I was like, her speech was that triggered my mind to transform me. Her speech was so enlightening and so triggering that it held me a lot. And she was one of the main inspiration for me to choose my topic in class 8, how I overcame a habit of brooding. And with the help of her speech, I was able to write all the things I wanted to write in my project.
Aviral, it doesn't seem that you're a new student for us. You are an out and out, inside out, you are a Jaipurian. And as Pramni ma'am said very truly, that now you, Saransh, Sarthak, Anusha, all of you are going to be our resources. You, Priyamvada, you all will be our speakers. Yes, we are waiting to see that day when you all will become the centers who will have, as Pramni ma'am said, 30 around each one of you. And I promise you that even if there are 2 entries for the spiritual retreat, if the divine wants, we will have the spiritual retreat every year, even if there are only 2 participants, even if there is only 1 participant.
And ma'am, by hearing to all the speakers, ma'am, my feeling and my respect, like, it was towards God, but ma'am, I enlightened, and my respect for God is more and more. Because ma'am, I felt that God is no one to test us or to punish us, because He knows He is only in ourselves. So He knows that in how much water He is, because we are only the body. Our soul is He Himself. So He knows that in how much water He is, and what He has to learn more and more.
Yes, you've said it perfectly. Thank you, Aviral. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Children, we all, at every age is vulnerable, but you are at an even more vulnerable age. So, very often we see, for your belief or whatever you've understood, people will question you. Sometimes you will not have the answers. That's okay. You will find the answer. You will not have an answer to every question that people ask by their logic. So that is what is going to take you into research and dig deeper and find your answers. But here comes the play of the vital. It's a very powerful force, and it is never still. It has all the energy in the world. It is never still. So don't let your vital interfere with the growth that you've already achieved. The way you raise your consciousness, keep taking it up. You will always have the pressure of peer group, people around you, influencing you, trying to say, okay, why this? And you may feel you don't have time for this. There are more interesting things. But trust me, we always have time for everything that we truly believe in.
Yes, ma'am.
We
And ma'am,
always have time for this. Yes, priorities will be different at different times, but even amidst those priorities, you will find time for whatever you actually want to do. It may be
Yes.
delayed, but it will be there if you work on your emotional being, your vital being, and do not let it interfere with your conscious development.
And ma'am, this is important to take this time out, because for taking time out for this session is very, very important to develop ourselves for future. Because when we, ma'am, we go in future, we have to do certain jobs, we have to go for interviews. So ma'am, when we have the knowledge, when we know how to do work, then ma'am, it's very important for us to develop ourselves for our future.
Absolutely. When you know you're the seat of perfection, when you know knowledge is within, then there is no reason for you not to be selected in any, for anything excellent. There's
Yes,
no
ma'am.
reason for you to not excel because you know that you have the power and you have this knowledge at such a young age. I didn't have this knowledge when I was so young.
Ma'am, this is all with the grace of you and Anjali, ma'am.
And we have got this opportunity because of you all.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you are the source resources for us to make our future better.
I became a resource because Anjali ma'am brought it to me. I didn't know it.
And I became a resource because Kirit uncle, my teacher Kirit Joshi ji, taught me what he taught me. And Kirit Joshi ji became what he became because of what he learned from Sri Aurobindo and the mother. Someday I will tell you the story of his life. It is amazing. And he became what he became because of what he learned from Sri Aurobindo and the mother. He also had the same problem. His questions were not being answered. And he had done much more study. I had done no study in comparison to what he had done. But his questions were so... And then he read Life Divine. And he just felt like, I know. And then he read Life Divine again. It takes people years to read Life Divine. He read the Life Divine, which is written by Sri Aurobindo, in 8 days. And then he read it again in 8 days.
Wow.
So Kirit uncle gave what he gave because of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. And Sri Aurobindo gave what he gave because Krishna came to him. Krishna entered into his being. Krishna guided him when in his days of the jail. He used to walk with him and explain the Gita to him. It was like he had become Krishna. And
Yes,
so we pass on all this gratitude to Krishna, to God. Okay?
ma'am.
It's a
Yes,
part
And
of
I think it's a change. And from
Yes,
the
ma'am.
starting, there was a fire, and then there was a spark, and then the spark became a little fire, and that fire made more sparks, and then slowly, ma'am, it became ma'am, it's now we are getting all the knowledge.
It began spreading.
Yes, so David started spreading. I think Shlok wants to say something.
It's the first day. Let's start. The retreat begins. The topic for the first day is pretty unique, I must say. Anjali ma'am sparked a flame within. It spread throughout me. It invoked the divine presence. She taught us God is merciful. He never punishes. He doesn't test us. The wrong beliefs cover the lights that help us in leading to perfection. He brought in obstacles to make us perfect. He is love. We evolved because of the problems he brought in. The knowledge and change helped us in progressing. I loved the stories by Sampadanandji. Upanishads are a great source of spirituality. He told us the three forms of divine. He taught us about the transcendent, inner, and cosmic divine. My eyes glowed. I felt a great surge of energy. Sri Shiv Kumari told us how to contact the divine. He taught us the three gateways to the divine. This interesting activity activated more of my curiosity. I wanted to learn more. Sri Shraddhaluji, calm and patient. His share of knowledge brought in more spirituality. Meditation calms the mind. It brings in joy. Meditation is a gateway to the divine. Shraddhaluji's activities were so unique as I felt the presence of divine.
My inner power grew and grew. It bloomed slowly like blossoms on a spring tree. Efforts are commendable. All of them were so organized. They know the truth about this world that is so interesting to dive in. Time has passed quickly, yet the knowledge gained is so great. Sister Shivani guided us in creating our destiny. Such a great speaker. Her voice soothed my brain. She helped in directing my energy for greater processes to create the perfect destiny. Write the perfect karma, she said. Shri Alok Pandey added his great knowledge. He energized the inner being that lay within. A great surge of energy I felt during his session. Everyone explained differently, yet it was the same. Spiritual retreat is integral knowledge. It goes beyond the mind, as it can only be understood by the inner divine. Thank you.
Wow, beautifully captured. So beautiful, Shlok. Unbelievable. All these poems should be sent to me, huh? I'd like to read them again and again and again and again. In fact, I can't wait to hear you all again. So I'm waiting for the YouTube link from Brahmini ma'am when it's edited. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Brilliant, Shlok. Truly brilliant. And I very appreciate you for your perseverance. You keep following everything, you know. You've written a letter to me, I'll answer. I've responded to your earlier letters, but this one will take some time. I didn't have the time. So give me 2 more days. I'll respond to your letter. Thank you so much for writing such a beautiful letter. And you've written poetry there too. So, you know, I read it only once, but I didn't want to respond after reading it once. I'll read it again and then give a response. Okay. But this one was, you've summed everything so beautifully, and I really appreciate the time that you've spent in doing this. So that's so endearing, so heartening. We say that we need to train the vital being. Well, you are already training it. You're keeping it under your control.
ma'am, the time I put in this session, I don't regret it, because ma'am, the knowledge I gain, it is so great that in years I won't be able to learn if this session wasn't.
Immense gratitude to all the enlightened speakers, Anjali ma'am, Promini ma'am, and the teachers for making the 5th edition of the spiritual retreat a memorable and learning experience for one and all. Thank you so much once again. To conclude, I would like to summarize all my thoughts, feelings, and learnings in a self-composed poem titled Aabhar. हर कण कह रहा है शुक्रिया, इससे ज्यादा जीवन से मैं मांगू भी क्या। था ये ईश्वर का ही आशीर्वाद कि हुआ हम सबके बीच ऐसा पवित्र संवाद। जाना मैंने कि परमात्मा से ही है सब, उसके बिना जीवन भी है असंभव। दूर ढूंढने पर नहीं, अपने पास ईश को पाओगे, पूर्णता की खोज करने से ही तुम उसमें समाओगे। हर सीख ने मोह लिया है मेरा दिल, प्रण लेती हूँ करूंगी इन सब को अपने जीवन में शामिल। एक बार फिर पाया है मैंने अपने को अंतर्यामी के समीप, हुआ है इस रिट्रीट से मेरे अंदर प्रज्वलित एक दीप। इस दीप से मुझे अवश्य मेरा रास्ता और मंजिल दिखेगी। इस पथ पर चलने से मैं वो बांसुरी बनूंगी जो परमात्मा की श्वास से बजेगी। आभार, अनंत आभार, ज्ञात कराने के लिए इस दुनिया का सार। अब हर क्षण, हर शब्द, हर भावना है अधूरी, व्यक्त करने के लिए खुशी जो समा गई है मेरे दिल में पूरी। धन्यवाद।
माय गॉड, कवि हैं हमारे तो स्कूल में सारे, माने फैबुलस कविज हैं। वेरी ब्यूटीफुल रिद्धि।
थैंक यू मैम।
वेरी वेरी ब्यूटीफुल, एक्सीलेंट एक्सीलेंट।
थैंक यू।
Brilliant, brilliant, Shruti.
I feel that if I will share, then I will say something incorrect because I'm still learning. I have still not opened up. I'm still in learning phase. So I watch these children. I learn that how they have grown. I'm learning from them. So, ma'am, I feel inside, but my words don't come out, ma'am, because I can't express. I'm still short of words, ma'am. I feel that for few more years when I will attend, then I will speak like you all people speak, ma'am.
it's okay. Sometimes silence is also good. And if she doesn't want to speak, we understand that she's saying that I want to learn more. I want to flow into it like the students are flowing into it. I totally appreciate your silence, Deepa ma'am. Adyan wants to say something. Yes, Adyan?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to tell that, ma'am, I joined the spiritual retreat because of my mother, ma'am. She does tarot reading. She does pranic healing. She is like, she really likes these spiritual things. That's why she enrolled me in the school also, because of that, because of Shri Aurobindo and the teaching of Sanskrit here. So at that time, ma'am, I thought, ma'am, this was nothing but some spiritual thing, ma'am. I was like ignoring it, but ma'am, as my mom told you have to do it. Then as I joined it, I felt very enlightened, and I'm extremely grateful. I'm extremely grateful for my mom and you and all the teachers who have taken part in this and making these slideshows and writing all the things. It was really fantastic. I really liked it. Now I think that I am more enlightened. I am happier than before. I have understood my inner being better than ever.
Anusha wants to say something.
These spiritual retreats are so relatable to me. Yes, last year I had this project of personal transformation, and I especially mentioned in my project that because of the spiritual retreat, I transformed so much, and I would like to thank you, Anjali ma'am. Your words are, I just love what you speak.
Thank you, Anusha. And you were so honest in saying that, I just can't stop my thoughts. They're always there. There are too many thoughts. Okay. And now that you've said that, I'm sure you're going to work at that. What kind of thoughts? Because everything depends on that. Great. Nice having you in the retreat, Anusha.
Very nice having you here. She did so much interaction there was from Anusha. And each one of them was very specific. It was not rambling. It was beautiful. All her interactions were very, very relevant. Very nice, Anusha. Thank you. I think Anshu ma'am wants to say something.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Thank you so much, Anjali ma'am. Thank you so much, Pramani ma'am, Deepa ma'am, and everybody, all the students. Listening to each one of you speak and all the speakers, it brings so much joy within. Really joy. It's not pleasure, not happiness. It is really joy because it lasts. Probably for the whole day, not for too long, but it lasts. And thank you for telling me that God doesn't punish us. He is not testing us. Thank you for telling me this. For a long period of time, maybe I was thinking that way, having gone through a lot. So probably I was thinking that way. Also, talking about intuition, sometimes we are aware that some things are within us, but we are not able to consciously know that, yes, it is the inner voice that is telling us something. When my father was there, admitted, every day was a new day, and every day it was a new struggle. Every day new hope, and every day I had to make new decisions. Obviously, we all have never been through such times. Those were the most difficult times. But it was my intuition. It was that inner voice that gave me strength every day. And I was able to make decisions. And for a long period of time, I thought maybe my efforts were incomplete. But now having these talks, I have heard these talks. After listening to these talks, I think that no, they were not. It was my love for my father, and I did whatever I could. And Pramani ma'am was a big help. She was a source of hope, faith for me all those times and always. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Anjali ma'am.
Thank you, Anshu ma'am. God has given you so much opportunity to serve. You did more than you could do, much, 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 much more than you could do for your parents. And He gave you opportunities.
The strength is, we don't realize until we actually face those situations. So God is putting us through those situations to actually help us realize those, the strength that we have within us.
Yes, yes. I'm so happy for you. And I wish you progress and progress, inner progress and outer progress.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful to my school in every way, in every way.
I'm so glad. I think all the dreams and the dreams of what the school should be are somehow fulfilling themselves when I hear these students, when I hear teachers like you, and of course, when I hear from Mini ma'am. So my dreams are getting fulfilled thanks to you all.
Anshu ma'am, you are a strong person. I have no doubt about that. And in one of the talks we did here, that don't dissociate yourself from God. In times when you need Him the most, you feel He's tested, so I'm moving away from Him. And that is the biggest mistake we can do. Trust me, situations can be challenging for anyone and everyone at some point in life. But if you trust Him, if you connect with Him, if you feel His presence, then no challenge is actually a challenge. There's no challenge. You don't feel the pain, you don't feel the challenge. It just passes. So, but you have to stick to Him, hold on to Him.
Ma'am.
In fact, tell Him that you don't go away from me.
Yes,
If you go away from me, I'll get angry with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Just
It was praying that helped me a lot during those days.
just keep your connection alive. That hotline has to be made with
Yes,
the
ma'am.
inmost being. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think Siddhi wants to say something.
Yes, Mama. I just want to share a little experience of these spiritual retreats. Ma'am, all these sessions have enlightened us and have inculcated different types of attributes of life, and they have just opened the door of beautiful values for us. And ma'am, before the spiritual retreat sessions, I was never known to the terms Satchidanand, and moreover, I had never realized that it would be so easy to write our destiny, and the karmas are what make our destiny. And ma'am, yesterday in Shivani Di's session, in the end, I just spoke two lines, which was from very famous poem, and they were that सफलता एक चुनौती है, उसे स्वीकार करो और जो कर्म में मतलब गलती हुई है, उसे देखो और सुधार करो. Ma'am, I think these two lines were I kept on thinking about these two lines the whole day, and whatever I was doing before that, I remember what Shraddhalu ji said, that how to increase your willpower, because many a times it happens, no one is perfect, and we are I was in a complete process of metamorphosis while I had been going through these sessions of spiritual retreat. So all the speakers, all the motivational speakers who spoke, every time, every moment I do any work, I'm just reminded of all what they said. And ma'am, I think every spiritual retreat session will inculcate more values for everyone, and especially I feel so thankful for you, Anjali ma'am, Tramini ma'am, and everyone who have decided to keep these spiritual retreat sessions. They are so helpful for us, for our future, and I'm pretty sure they'll make us a better person from what we are just now. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, dear Siddhi. I'd like to comment on the word metamorphosis that the students have been using. And I'm so glad, because these spiritual retreats are not only helping us to transform our mental being and our vital being. Actually speaking, Sri Aurobindo has spoken that even the physical being gets transformed. So there's always a metamorphosis in the physical being. So I really love this word, the usage of this word by our students, metamorphosis. Thank you.
Siddhi, you are so crisp, so bright, and you have a great influencer in Sarthak all the time with you. So keep learning. Great having the retreat.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I believe, ma'am, when a caterpillar is in a cocoon, ma'am, then it needs immense strength to constantly strive and put its efforts so it can convert into a butterfly. So, ma'am, we can compare ourselves into caterpillars who are into a cocoon right now, and that strength is provided by this enlightenment. And so we just metamorph into butterflies at one point of time. We have not yet, but we will definitely put in our efforts into becoming butterflies one day.
Yes, there's a very beautiful story of scientist, and he was watching, since you gave this example of a caterpillar metamorphosing into a butterfly. So when he was watching closely the entire process. And when he started seeing the butterfly flap, flap, flap her wings, and it was very painful, the delivery of the butterfly through the pupa, very, very difficult. And he was feeling very bad for the butterfly, that why does she have to go through so much pain? So he held the butterfly's wings while it was still going through the delivery. It had not been delivered. And he quickly, slowly, gently helped the butterfly come out. And you know what happened? The butterfly could never fly. Why? Because that difficult circumstance of that delivery, of the flapping of the wings, was pumping the wings with energy for the lifetime of a butterfly. And that was taken away by this good-willed scientist, and the butterfly was maimed for life. So all the difficulties that we get in our life are our preparations to pump us with some sort of a strength, whether it's resilience or power to help or whatever. There can be so many kinds of metamorphosis that can happen to us. And we are not going to be scared of the difficult circumstances, because we know they are God ordained by the divine to make us progress. Because progress is the mantra that drives us, that drives all the students of St. M.R. Jaipuria School. Right? Thank you.
जो सेशन था बहुत ही इतना अच्छा लगा कि एक तरफ से ऐसा लगा कि पुनराभ्यास जो पुनस्मरणीय होता है, उस तरह से इतना अच्छा लगा। और हम क्या हैं फिर से एक बार वो याद दिलाना, और जिस तरह से मुझे बीच में हुआ था कि नहीं आध्यात्मिक में और आगे बढ़े, कहीं मतलब अपना खुद का ये करे उद्धार, तो फिर तब प्रोमनी मैम ने मुझे इतना अच्छा मतलब वो बताए कहाँ जाके क्या करोगे, यहाँ ही देखो। तो उन्होंने मुझे उत्साह बढ़ा दिया, और ये फिर प्रभु ने याद दिला दिया कि हाँ यहीं पर है, तुम कुछ करके दिखाओगे। फिर तब मैं एहसास की, फिर वो मैं वापस जुड़ी, और प्रभु में बहुत मुझे वो याद आ रहा है। और अभी ये जो सुन के फिर से मुझे एहसास हो रहा है कि देखो आध्यात्म के लिए कहाँ जा रही थी, अपने उद्धार, अपने को पहचानने के लिए। देखो इतना सारा सब कुछ ज्ञान तो यहीं पर है, और मुझे इतना गर्व हो रहा है, प्राउड फील कहते हैं, क्योंकि कोई और स्कूल नहीं मिलेगा जयपुरिया की तरह, जो बचपन से संस्कृत का बढ़ावा देते हुए आध्यात्म का ज्ञान का प्रकाशित फैलाते हुए कि तुम ही हो और कहीं नहीं, आनंद को पहचानो, तुम्हारे अंदर ही है। हर एक बच्चे को जो ज्ञान का प्रसारण कर रहे हैं, और ये सब सुनकर इतना अच्छा अनुभव हो रहा है कि बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अंजलि मैम और प्रोमनी महोदया कि आपने मुझे एक बार फिर से वो याद दिला दिया और मुझे यहीं पर रोक लिया। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और मैम ये बच्चे जो अभी गीता कक्षा के जुड़े हुए हैं, ये भी अभी संस्कृत का इनका क्लासेस हो रहे, और अभी ये भी मेरी तरह, हम लोग टीचरों की तरह कुछ कम नहीं है, ये भी सब संस्कृत में बात कर रहे हैं। और ये सब पूरी तरह अभी आप सुनेंगे तो हम सब पूरा संस्कृत में ही 1 घंटा 2 घंटा, क्योंकि कुछ भी हो दिन में भी हम संस्कृत में बात कर पाएंगे। इतनी अच्छी तरह अभी ये इनका लेवल बढ़ रहा है, इतना अच्छा लग रहा है। और ये आध्यात्मिक में तो आगे जा ही रहे हैं, और यहाँ पर कितने सारे समर रिट्रीट में भी पूरे इतने बच्चे बोल रहे हैं आध्यात्मिक ज्ञान के बारे में। मुझे लग रहा है चलो मेरी मैम की सपना पूरा हो रहे हैं प्रभु। जो मैं आई थी तो अंजलि मैम ने कहा था कि मेरा सपना यहाँ पूरा हो, तो प्रभु बस हम सब वही जो आपकी सपना है हम सब मिलके पूरा करें। ये प्रभु हम सबको यही शक्ति दो, और ये पूरा होने का मैम आपके सपना सच होगा, प्रभु कर रहे हो रहा है। धन्यवाद महोदया, धन्यवाद।
सच्ची में जब संस्कृत शुरू किया था 2003 में, तो सपना यही था, एक ही सपना था कि हमारे स्कूल के बच्चे संस्कृत में वार्तालाप कर सकें एक दूसरे के साथ। और जब संस्कृत के पुस्तकों को पढ़ें, हमारी जो ज्ञान पुस्तकें हैं, वेद है, उपनिषद है, गीता है, तो उनको स्वतः समझ में आए, उनको किसी भी ट्रांसलेटर की जरूरत ना पड़े, वो स्वतः उसको समझ सकें और आपस में सिंपल संस्कृत बात कर सकें। हमारा कभी सपना नहीं था कि ये सब पंडित बन जाए, कि कोई बहुत बड़े स्कॉलर्स बन जाए, बस संस्कृत को समझ लें, आपस में सिंपल संभाषण कर सकें और अपनी गीता और उपनिषद को समझ सकें। ये मेरा सपना था। और कुछ कुछ लेवल तक आज सुन करके बहुत अच्छा लगा प्रभावती मैम से कि बच्चे एक दूसरे के साथ संभाषण कर पा रहे हैं संस्कृत में। तो ये सपना शनैः शनैः पूरा हो रहा है। वेरी हैप्पी। और ये बता दें बच्चों कि ये सपना इसलिए पूरा हुआ, संस्कृत का सपना, क्योंकि अपने स्कूल में हम लोग संस्कृत प्ले ग्रुप LKG UKG से इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं। अगर इसको लेटर क्लास में इंट्रोड्यूस किया तो वो जो प्रेम होता है ना संस्कृत के लिए, वो डेवलप नहीं होता है। तो वी आर वेरी ब्लेस्ड दैट वी हैव बीन एबल टू इंट्रोड्यूस संस्कृत in our school from playgroup onwards. Thank you. Thank you students, thank you teachers, and thank you Pramini ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
प्रभावती मैम, थैंक यू। रुकने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि आप हमारी बात से आप जुड़ गई। ये कोई जरूरी नहीं होता, ये भी ऊपर वाले की ग्रेस है कि आपने वो बात सुनी और उसका सम्मान किया। बट थैंक यू अगेन, जो ये आप बच्चों के साथ में कनेक्ट हो रही हैं, कृणाली, सारांश, दे कैन अंडरस्टैंड। अभी तुम लोगों को बहुत मजा आया होगा ना मैम के साथ में 3 दिन बिता के। they've spent 3
Ma'am,
days
it
with
was
Prabhavati
tremendous. Ma'am, we didn't want it to came back.
अच्छा बच्चों, अभी ये प्लेजर, हैप्पीनेस, जॉय में से क्या चीज दिख रही है तुम लोगों को?
Joy. Joy.
Now you can understand the meaning of
Ananda.
Ma'am, Ananda.
Right.
This is not only joy. You're getting connected to your divine being inside. So this is Ananda that you're sharing.
This is like a progress for the soul, man.
Yeah, big progress for the soul.
Even in our afterlife, even in our rebirth also, this feeling will stay.
Yes, yes. I think Ruchi would like to say something.
Ma'am, in this time, I'm in not school. I have passed class 10, but I don't think that I'm not in school. I'm thinking that I will not join summer retreat. I don't have link. महोदया सर्वे बालकाः मम लिंक दत्तवान् प्रेषित ते उक्तवन्तः भवती अपि युक्ता भवतु, बहु सम्यक् अस्ति रिट्रीट, सर्वे बहु जना आगतवान् अद्य, बहु सम्यक्तया ते उक्तवन्तः। अहं तु चिन्तितवती यत् एतादृश विद्यालये भविष्यत् न मिलिष्यति। नवसृजन अस्ति, जयपुरीया अस्ति, भविष्यत् एतादृशे विद्यालये किमपि कदाचित् न मिलिष्यति। अहम् एतत् चिन्तयामि। अहमपि एतत् चिन्तितवती यत् पूर्वम् अहं 3 वारं रिट्रीट् युक्तम् अस्मि, 3 वारं समर् रिट्रीट्। तो अहं सर्वप्रथम 3 वारम् अहं युक्तवती। तो अहं सर्वप्रथम प्रथम वर्षे अहम् एतत् उक्तवती न यत् अहम् इच्छामि ईश्वरः यन्त्रं भविष्यामि न, अहम् इच्छामि ईश्वरः यन्त्रम्, इन्स्ट्रुमेण्ट् न, अहम् इच्छामि। इदानीम् अहम् एतत् चिन्तितवती यत् अहं ईश्वरः यन्त्रं भविष्यामि इदानीम्। अहम् एतत् चिन्तयामि। धन्यवादः महोदय, बहु सम्यक् अस्ति रिट्रीट्। अहं तु सर्वे शिवदा और श्रद्धालु जी ते बहु सम्यक्तया उक्तवन्तः। उपनिषद् वार्ता एका बहु सम्यक्तया ते उक्तवन्तः यत् गुरुः गुरु पार्श्वे केवलं शिक्षः छात्रः पात्रा ते छात्रस्य पात्रा इच्छति गुरुः न एकः कथा अस्ति यत् एकः बालिका इच्छति यत् मम गुरु अहं योजित इच्छामि, अहं दक्षिणा प्राप्तुम् इच्छामि, शिक्षा प्राप्तुम् इच्छामि, किन्तु तस्य गुरुः तं न योजितवन्तः, तं न योजितवन्तः। सः बहु क्रुद्धः अभवत् यत् मम गुरु किमर्थं मम न योजितवान्, अहम् इच्छामि तं शिक्षा प्राप्नुवन्, किन्तु सा न मम योजितवता, सा मम न शिक्षा दातुम् इच्छति। सा एकस्मिन् दिने गतवान् तस्य गुरुपार्श्वे, सा उक्तवान् कि भवान् किमर्थं मम न शिक्षा दातुम् इच्छति। तर्हि गुरु उक्तवान् कि अहं भवतः एकं कार्यं ददामि, यत् अहं भवतः एकः बाक्स् मध्ये बाक्स् अहं ददामि, भवान् एतत् मम मित्रपार्श्वे ददातु, एतद् न बाक्स्। सो पेटिका। तर्हि सा उक्तवान् आम्, एतत् तु बहु सरलं कार्यमस्ति, अहं प्रेषयिष्यामि एतत् पात्रं, पेटिकां। तर्हि सा गच्छति, किन्तु मार्गे मध्ये सा चिन्तितवान् एतत् इदानीं कः अस्ति यत् मम गुरुः उक्तवान्। सा बहु चिन्तन करोति, सा बहु संशय अभवत्, तं बहु संशय अभवत् यत् कः अस्ति इदानीम्, अहम् अपि इच्छामि पश्यतु कः अस्ति इदानीम्। सा अपि इच्छति न कि अहम् उद्घाटयति एतद्, किन्तु सा एकं वारम् उक्तवान् कि एकं वारम् अहम् उद्घाटयामि, तत्पश्चात् अहं बन्द कर देना, अहं बन्धनं करोमि, पेहितं करिष्यामि। सः किं कृतवान् कि सः उद्घाटितवान्। तस्मिन् एकः मूषकः अस्ति, सः धावितम्। तर्हि सा तु उक्तवान् अहं किं करवाणि, एतत् तु धावतवान्, एतत् तु गच्छति, अहं किं करवाणि। तत् सा गुरुपार्श्वे गच्छत् सा उक्तवान् कि अहं तु एका मूषिका अस्ति, किन्तु सा तु गच्छत्, अहं किं करवाणि। तत्पश्चात् गुरुः उक्तवान् कि पश्यतु, अहम् एतत् इच्छामि, अहं पात्र इच्छामि, किन्तु भवतः पार्श्वे एतत् नास्ति, भवतः पार्श्वे संशय अस्ति, भवतः मम उपरि विश्वासः न करोति, भवतः पार्श्वे बहु संशय अस्ति, तत् कारणात् अहं भवतः न शिक्षा दातुम् इच्छामि।
Ma'am, you were asking what have we learned in those 3 days. This is what we have learned.
Great. My God, my God. All this in Sanskrit. ये तो मेरे सपने के भी बाहर चला गया है। इतना लंबा spontaneous conversation in Sanskrit. My God. Thank you.
Now, I would like to invite Sarthak to proceed further with the quiz, which will surely help us keep the flame of progressing burning in us.
With innumerable values instilled in us during this edition of the spiritual retreat, it is necessary to have a comprehensive recapitulation of everything we have learned. With this, we begin with the quiz. The rules for the quiz are: there are a total of 31 questions. The answers will either be typed through chat box or spoken by raising hands. The first person to raise the hand or to send the answer in the chat shall be considered. So, with everyone being ready for the quiz, here we have the first question, which is to be answered in the chat box. The first question for the quiz is: what is the nature of God? The correct answer is love. So, really well done, everyone. The second question also has to be answered through chat, and the question is, what is the force of God known as?
Siddhi has answered conscious force.
Yes, the correct answer is conscious force. Now the third question will be answered by raising the hand first, and the question is, what is the difference among pleasure, happiness, and joy? So Saransh has raised the hand.
Pleasure, we can say, is a good feeling in which is limited, and there is a material cause behind it. Happiness is something which is which we get when we achieve something, like we have got good marks or so. That is happiness. But joy is unconditionally doing good for others, and by doing that joy, that good feeling which you get is joy.
Yes, that is the correct answer, and Saransh Bhaiya has explained this in his own words. Pleasure is short-lived, whereas happiness is associated with achievements, and joy is everlasting, which is Ananda. Now, the fourth question will also be answered by raising the hand first, and the question is, in difficult situations, what three choices we have? So, Yuvraj has raised the hand.
Okay, so in difficult situations, that the three choices that we have: first, we may break down; second, we may embark on a blame game; and then third, that we use the painful circumstance to transform some weak link in our nature.
Yes, that is the correct answer. We may break down, we may embark on a blame game, or we use the harmful circumstance to transform and strengthen us. Now, the next question is to be answered through chat, and it is, what is the main reason of unhappiness? Ignorance, divisions, and fragmentations. Yes, every answer can be considered, but the answer is divisions and fragmentations.
I just want to add, desires is also absolutely meaningful. They do lead us to happiness, unhappiness. So she's
Desire and ego also. Ego lead to unhappiness. Finally, there is only unhappiness in an egoistic person's life. And fragmentation, desire and ego. Desire and ego lead to division and fragmentation, actually.
So we need to work selflessly and unegoistically, like Sir said.
Yes.
The next question also has to be answered through chat, and it is, what are vowels and consonants referred to as? This is from Sampadanand Mishra ji's session. Krinali Didi has said pran, and Saransh Bhaiya has said vowels are the mental body, whereas the consonants are the
And
physical
consonants
body.
are the physical body.
So vowels are symbolic of pran, whereas consonants are symbolic of sharir. If we remember, Sir had said that vowels are free flowing. We can keep saying them. But as soon as we come to consonants, there is an obstruction. So similarly, pran is free flowing, whereas the body, the sharir, is bounded to limitations. So pran and sharir.
Yeah, so vowels cannot be called the mental body. Prana is different from the mental body.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Siddhi at 1047, she said vowels are life. Life is prana, right? Life force is prana. And consonants are the body, sharira.
And the next question also has to be answered through chat. It is, who represents the divine mind? There was this story that Sir told where three gods went to the Yaksh. Yes.
Yes, everyone is correct.
Saransh has answered first. It is Indra. After that, Siddhi and everyone has got the correct answer. Indra.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can we call Indra as divine mind? Ma'am, we can say mind, but ma'am, I think it's quite egoistic. Divine mind is to pure divine himself. No?
We won't call him divine mind, but he is the higher mind. He is the only one of the gods who got so close to Uma Hemvati. So he is, and if we want to, I generally in my talks, I give you the story of Indra and Agastya. If you remember that story, the colloquy of Indra and Agastya.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So when Agastya was trying to go very fast to reach the supreme divine himself, he was stopped by Indra. Why was Indra stopping him? He said, I'm going to the divine. I'm trying to raise my consciousness to reach the divine. Why are you stopping me? And then Indra said that you cannot bypass the mind. The mind has to be taken into this journey, and the mind has to be enlightened. And that you can do with me. So despite the stories of the Puranas, of all the negativities of Indra, Indra is the higher mind. And if we want to ascend in our mind, in refining the mind, we need to go to Indra. Yeah? All right, Saransh, your question is answered.
So, ma'am, is divine right adjective with mind for Indra?
I would call it the higher mind, but I'll have to find out from these speakers. I don't want to give you any wrong answers.
Ma'am, because I thought that if mind, we can say, if divine mind is, so ma'am, it's the perfect, then it would be. And
Yes.
if perfected, then how fragmented Indra is really close to divine, but he's not divine himself. Now, there is.
Yeah, there is a division. There is a division. Yeah, you're right.
I thought that, so ma'am, my Indra was not coming in my mind. That's why.
No, but Indra can be called the higher mind for sure.
Higher mind too, for sure. Yes, ma'am. That's obvious.
Very beautiful question, Saransh. Shows the depth with which you children are getting into this whole gamut of spiritual upliftment.
And the word divine itself means something different. So that is why we have to go in each and every question's depth.
Yeah, because divine means perfect, as Saransh said.
Yes, ma'am.
And Indra is not totally perfect. He's not divine. Very good.
He had said this, but yeah, this is definitely something which should be discussed with him again.
Yeah. So we'll invite him for a small conversation about Indra being the divine mind or only the higher mind. And then what you should do, these kind of queries should lead to research. And you should, now you have so much of Sri Aurobindo's literature in the library. Or now just go to Incarnate Word and check just use the word Indra as in the search and see what Sri Aurobindo has said on Indra. There can't be any mistake in that. There cannot be a mistake. All right?
Yes, ma'am. Now, with the question being discussed, we move to the next question. We have to raise the hand for this. What is meant by Satchidanand? You have to explain the syllables and the full meaning.
God is Sachidanand. So here Sat means truth, which is all existence. Chid means all consciousness, that is the conscious force. And Anand is the delight or the bliss.
The first thing was that Sat Chit Anand is synonymous to God, which is the source of all consciousness and all perfection. As said, Satchidanand is the nature of God, which further, if we break it into syllables, Sat means truth, Chit means consciousness, and Ananda means complete bliss.
Although Satchidanand doesn't say Chit Shakti, but when we speak about it, we should always call Chit as Chit Shakti, because it is also conscious. And what is conscious? It is the force. So conscious force is the right meaning of Chit.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Conscious force, because otherwise the force word will be left out. Chit
Yes,
is
ma'am.
force. All right?
Yes.
Very good. Very well written.
Okay. So the next question is to be answered in the chat. The question is, which earliest form of writing took birth in India and is the source of eternal knowledge? He has got the correct answer, Vedas. Then
Vedas.
Suki, Aditya, Bhaiya, Taksh, everyone. Veda is the correct answer. Yes. The next question has to be answered by raising the hands. Can you name the three aspects of divine?
First is the transcendent divine. Second is the cosmic divine. And then third is the inner divine.
The transcendent, the cosmic divine, and the inner, which is the secret divine.
Just remember that the word transcendent or transcendental comes from the word transcend. He who transcends the cosmic, he who transcends the immanent.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So now over to you, Ritsivi, for conducting it.
Thank you, Sarthak. So with the same zeal, let us continue with the second set of the questions. Moving on to the next question, this has to be answered in the chat box. What is the initial step that we can take to light the psychic fire within us? Saransh and Siddhi have answered aspiration, and that's absolutely correct. The answer is aspiration and the will for progress and perfection. Moving ahead to the next question, what is the national education as formed by Sri Aurobindo in 1910, defined by the mother 30 years later, known as now integral education? Saransh has given the right answer. It's integral education. Moving ahead with the next question, this has to be answered by raising the hand. Why should we avoid comparing ourselves with others? Siddhi was the first one to raise the hand.
Maybe to avoid jealousy from like to be away from consciousness.
Absolutely correct. Anyone else would like to add something to it? Yes, Saransh?
The levels of consciousness of each and every person is different, and the situations which he has to go through are also different. So comparing is practically not right thing to do.
Absolutely correct. So we can put these two together in answers, and the answer could be to keep ourselves away from jealousy, which lowers our consciousness and the universal consciousness.
So here somebody should explain to us what is a universal consciousness and how can we lower it if we are jealous.
Ma'am, universal consciousness is the words, feelings, and thoughts, like the behavior.
Okay. And it is, we are all one. The vital being, there is only one vital consciousness. There is only one mental consciousness. You remember the story that Shradhaluji had told us? The monkey wala story?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So when monkeys made a progress in one island, which was totally disconnected with another island, the monkeys of the other islands also progressed. Why? Because these monkeys made a progress here and they added to the universal consciousness. Even our physical body is actually one physical. We see it as separate because this is my body. But actually speaking, there is one physical.
Ma'am, we are unified in total.
Yes, there is
Ma'am,
one.
You almost covered our question, ma'am, one of our questions.
Oh, sorry. Saransh wants to say something about the universal consciousness. Remember why we do the project raising universal consciousness and we take figures who have raised universal consciousness. It is only to make you all understand the unity of our physical, the unity of our vital, the unity of our mental being, the unity of our psychic being. There is actually one. Now, Didi, what she's saying, that Vasudeva Kutumbakam, all of us are one. Saransh, please say what you want to say.
Yes, ma'am. In the last spiritual retreat, ma'am, the session on the aim, which was taken by Shivda, and there was a quote. I do not know all the exact words, but the mother once said, "What you give to the world is tenfold you return, 10 or 1,000-fold times you get back." So if we are giving jealousy, that is what the atmosphere would be.
Beautiful. Very true. That if we add jealousy to the atmosphere, that is what we are getting in the atmosphere. And that is a vibration that we are again soaking back. And it's magnified. Very true.
This has to be answered by raising hand. What is karma?
Karma is the energy we create. It is the words we speak, the feelings, the thoughts, and our behavior.
That's absolutely correct. Anyone would like to add something to this? Sonali?
In total, if we say, from my perspective, it would be who you are is karma. When we say that our thoughts, our behavior, so what makes you? Your thoughts and your behavior makes you. So the way you are is your karma.
Absolutely correct. Adyan, you would like to add something?
Yes, karma also defines your destiny. The thoughts, the feelings you feel, and your behavior also define the destiny.
All the answers were absolutely correct. We can combine them and say, all that we think, speak, and feel is karma. Our behavior and the energy we create is also karma. We can also say that through our level of karma, we either raise or lower the universal consciousness.
When we say all that we think, speak, and feel, I would like to change that. Either we go from bottom to up. So, and instead of speak, we should be saying act. Because speaking is only one of the many actions that we do. Right? So if we look at the physical body, and then with the physical body, we add the verb act. Then we look at the vital body, the emotional body. And then we use the word feel. And then we go up to the mental body. And we use the word think. Right? So it should be act, feel, and think. Or think, feel, and act. Either bottom to up or up to top to bottom. Right?
Yes,
ma'am, absolutely. Moving to the next question. For this, you will have to raise your hand. What is the purpose of rebirth? Adyan had raised the hand first. Yes.
For the progress of the soul.
Absolutely correct. Anyone else? Yes, Siddhi?
It was right. Just one thing that to progress it to its like highest possibility, kind of.
Yes, you actually completed the answer. So the answer is the progress of the soul to its highest possibility. Moving on to the next question. This has to be answered in the chat box. Mention the three fuels of our being. Trinali is the first one to answer. It is tamasic, rajasic, and sattva. Absolutely correct.
Pranali, can you explain the tamasic fuel, the rajasic fuel, the sattvic fuel? Because then it will
Yes.
be more clear to our participants.
Ma'am, from my perspective, if I say, ma'am, tamasic would be which lowers your consciousness, which makes you more dull, which makes you less ambitious, or we can say less lesses your need, your willpower towards to pursue your goal. Rajasic would be yes, you know what you have to do, but you are still sometimes this side, sometimes that side. This could be Rajasic. And Sattvic is also kind of when we know what we have to do, when we are towards it, when we are on our path, we can say that is Sattvic.
No, so you are giving the nature, our nature, when it is tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic. But when we talk of fuel, we're saying what fuel we put into
what we consume.
So let Saransh give the answer.
So, as tamasic is a low quality fuel, mechanical fuel, which we can get from if we are not having good food, or our content which we are absorbing is not for our progression. For our progress, it's not nice. Then it would be tamasic. Rajasic would be the fuel which pushes us like an impulse, and it drives us towards our desires and ambitions. So what happens with the Rajasic fuel is that it throws smoke pollution also, because it is not fit for our being as well. And Sattvic is that fuel which drives our car with harmony and love.
Okay.
Ma'am, sir said tamasic as explained, rajasic, sattvic, and the fourth fuel which we can say is the spiritual or the psychic energy.
Yes.
It is the highest level. It is above sattvic. So these four combine to define our vital.
Yes. So now we can give the example. Now this fuel can come from food. This fuel can come from the music we hear. Suppose we are hearing what kind of music? We are hearing that metallic music, whatever that's called. Now that brings our whole energy down, right? This fuel can come from movies that we watch. This fuel can come from the books that we read. This fuel can come from the kind of friends we are with, right? The friends could be very rajasic. So then our whole tendency becomes rajasic. So what we are taking in can be taken in from the eyes, from the nose, from the mouth, from the ears, from the touch. In every which way, we have to refine what we are ingesting, whether it is music, movies, books, poetry, friends, food. All right?
And ma'am, the best company that we can switch is to whom, like you said, who our friends are. Ma'am, that makes a great difference in you, in which company you are in terms of human beings.
Yes, it makes a big difference. There are some times that it is inevitable that the people around us are negative. Some person around us is negative. Then what do we do?
Ma'am, we ignore them.
Ma'am, we give them blessings. Ma'am, we give them blessings.
Ma'am, we give them less than positive vibrations so that there is good karma.
So Dev, that we give them positive vibrations from our side, but we keep ourselves in the Suraksha Chakra. Remember that safety chakra of our positive thoughts. We don't let that enter, don't break that Suraksha Chakra. All right?
Moving ahead to the next question. For this, you'll have to raise your hand. Where does the psychic fuel lead us to? Krinali has raised the hand. Yes, Krinali.
To the true nature of ourselves, so we can say to the truth.
Very nice. Very nice.
Okay, so the answer can be the psychic fuel leads us to truth, joy, perfection, and then finally the divine. Moving ahead to the next question. For this, you'll have to raise your hand and answer. Why does our school lay emphasis on art, music, and poetry?
Because these are the three, we can say, doors to refine the vital, the art, music, and poetry.
Absolutely correct.
Excellent. Excellent.
So the answer is, as they refine our vital being, thereby raising our consciousness. Moving ahead, this question has to be answered through the chat box. What is the highest form of poetry? Saransh is the first one to answer. It's mantra. Absolutely correct. The next question is, this has to be answered with the chat box. Who is the founder of modern electric appliances? Siddhi has given the right answer, Nikola Tesla. Now, I would like to invite Priyamvada to continue further with the quiz. Thank you.
So let us begin with the third set of questions. I hope you all are just as excited. So the 21st question. For this question, please raise your hands and give the answer. What are the 4 keys to success? Yes, Siddhi was the first one to raise a hand.
We can see the Gyan, energy, and the resources, and then perfection.
Perfect. So the answer is, like Siddhi said, knowledge or Gyan, energy, resources, and perfection.
So when we're saying knowledge, energy, resources, and perfection, can somebody link this to the 4 houses? How are they linked?
Yes, ma'am. Wisdom is like knowledge, and energy is like strength, and resources is harmony, and perfection is perfection.
Yeah, very good, very good. So, do you know the corresponding 4 Shaktis of the divine? The divine is also divine, and he also has those 4 Shaktis. So, Saransh is, yes, Saransh?
Maheshwari, which is for wisdom, Mahakali, which is for strength, and Mahalakshmi, which is for harmony, and Mahasaraswati for perfection.
Yes. Why are harmony and resources joined together?
Because when there will be proper resources, then only we will have harmony in the processes that we follow.
Is it possible that when there will be more?
I believe when we are harmonious, then we'll get the resources from the world, because we'll be one with the entire world.
Yes, Saransh, Sarthak, आपने जो बोला वो उल्टा था. When there will be more harmony, then we will be having very beautiful relationship with everybody. And then it will not be my resource, it will be our resource.
Yes.
Abhi, what is happening to the world? Nobody is looking after the resources. I will use them all. But who's worrying about the environment? Nobody. Because it doesn't seem like this is all ours. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
These resources are not only material resources. These are also human resources.
Yes.
Your teams, people around you who are a great resource and who bring resource to you. So it is, each time you have to invite and say that, please connect me with people who themselves are a good resource, but who bring in that positivity, the wisdom and perfection to me.
Very nice. Very beautiful. Human resources cannot be left out. They are more important.
Now let's move on to the 22nd question. For this, please type your answers in the chat box. Why are we not able to execute our ideas despite effective planning and availability of resources? Yes, Siddhi gave the right answer, because of the lack of willpower.
Discuss this. Who will explain this? That I want to progress, but I'm not able to progress. Why?
Because, ma'am, I think you're lazy. I mean, you don't want to, ma'am. You think it's a lot of work for you.
Yeah, so we want to progress, but we are not making that effort. We don't have the will to move and actually do it. We want to progress. I want to do the right thing, but I'm not able to bring the willpower to actually do it.
Ma'am, we can also say, ma'am, when our mind is not mentally strong, ma'am, it acts like a monkey mind and we don't really know what is the right or wrong thing to do. And despite knowing that, we always go to the thing which is the most comfortable for us, not what is right.
Right. Very true. Very good, Priyamvada. I think Rinali wants to say something.
Ma'am, what I feel, ma'am, even lack of willpower is when, ma'am, क्यों हम लोग को लगता है कि क्यों हमारे अंदर एक कमी आ जाती है। हम लोग अगर अपने काम को अच्छी तरह से समझते नहीं है, अगर हम उसका इम्पैक्ट हमें नहीं समझ में आता, तो फिर वो काम नहीं हो सकता हमसे। तो अगर हमें कुछ काम करना है तो उसको पूरे जड़ से समझना होगा, हम जो कर रहे हैं, और तभी हम उसको पूरी अपनी इच्छा शक्ति के साथ कर सकते हैं।
वेरी नाइस। तो पहले तो काम समझ में नहीं आया, और समझ में आ
हाँ,
गया
तो फिर करोगे कैसे तुम?
संकल्प शक्ति नहीं है, विल पावर नहीं है। विल पावर का हिंदी वर्ड क्या है? संकल्प शक्ति।
संकल्प शक्ति
नहीं है, संकल्प शक्ति है।
संकल्प शक्ति
या तो डिजायर हो गया है ना। तो विल पावर को बढ़ाने के लिए उन्होंने क्या आइडिया बताया था? श्रद्धालु had given us a fabulous idea. I loved it. Who remembers what Shraddhalu ji had told us? How to increase our willpower?
Ma'am, I think that he had told us to every day, ma'am, after drinking something, we go at the basin and wash it and keep it.
We make a routine of washing the cup from which we drink milk or anything, and whatever happens every day, we have to do that in any circumstance.
Yes.
Even if we are even if we are late for school, or we have to go somewhere, still we have to do it.
Even if we are getting late for school, decision हो गया तो करना है. I have to do it. And then when this way we increase our willpower. This is just a small example. Then you increase it, right? Very nice.
And this is related with our vital being. It has to be under our control, developed to such an extent that we are able to develop that willpower and nothing interferes with it. So that all the distractions, if you remember what Sister Shivani said, the social media, the digital media, all the distractions that we have, they interfere with us. And when they interfere with us, they do bring down our vital being. They do not allow it to develop itself.
So the next question, you have to type your answers in the chat box. If we wish to reach our highest perfection, we should build ourselves from. The answer is in 2 words. That's correct. Krinali gave the right answer. Inside to out.
Somebody wants to explain inside to out?
Whatever your thoughts are, whatever your karmas are, the same way, the same thing is reflected in your work. So if we are pure from inside, if we know what we are doing from inside, then our work reflects the same. So we need to be built up from inside out.
So what is this inside? What is there inside?
From inner being to outer being.
From the inner being.
Ma'am, from
inner being to outer being.
Yes.
Ma'am, through our inner being. Ma'am, through our inner being, we develop our outer being consciously.
Very good. And whatever we are doing outside.
Yes, ma'am. That's the karma.
Yeah, what name?
That is karma.
Whatever we are doing outside, it has to not flow from our outer being. It has to flow from the soul outside. Yes. When will that happen?
Yes, ma'am.
When will that happen? That will happen when whatever I'm going to do, I first offer it inside.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, when we
open the doors inside, not outside.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the thing which we are doing, we should offer it first to divine, then we should do that work. Then that thing will go from inner being to outside.
Yes, but when we offer it, we also must invite the divine outside in the work.
And from our inner being.
Yeah, we have to invite the inmost being in our outer
world,
in our outer thinking, in our outer emotions, in our outer actions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
Antaryami, remember that story?
Tell Pramni ma'am, please tell us.
Antaryami, if you remember that story of Draupadi.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, Draupadi said, "Hey, Mathura Nath, aao bachao."
Hey, Mathura Nath. Yes,
Therefore, it
ma'am,
took
she didn't
half a
call
second.
the Krishna which is inside her.
If she would have said, "Hey, Antaryami bachao," then
Then the Krishna would have come in just
that
a
very
blink of eyes.
moment, that split second, he would have been there.
Yes, ma'am. But ma'am, she called the Mathura Nath, so that's why he took half a second to come.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, ma'am, for reminding this story. Very nice.
Okay, so for the next question, please raise your hands and give the answer. Which are the 4 soul powers which have to be unified to ignite the spark and evolve?
Perfection, harmony, strength, and wisdom.
That is perfectly correct. These are the 4 pillars of our school. Let's proceed with the next question. For this also, you have to raise your hand and give the answer. Why should we connect to the inner being?
This is the very basic of for which we are here, to attain the highest possibility of your own self, to excel, capital, bold, to excel.
To become as perfect as divine himself.
Ma'am, we are a spark, ma'am, and we have the power to become a whole fire. So, ma'am, if we enlighten our inner being, then we can become a whole fire.
And you know what, students? Let's not call this the inner being, because there are other layers of inner being. Actually, it should be called the inmost being, because the inmost being is the soul.
Or
right?
psychic being.
The psychic being, the psychic entity. Someday, we will also discuss the difference between the psychic entity and psychic being. Someday. Okay, but for now, it is good to know that it's called the psychic being and it is the inmost being.
All the answers were perfectly correct and beautiful, and they can be summed up as to perfect our outer being consciously so that we can excel.
Excellent.
All right, let's go to the next question. For this, please raise your hand and give the answer. What are the 3 impulses planted in us by nature? Yuvraj raised his hand. Yes, Yuvraj.
Nature has implanted 3 impulses within us: the desire, know, and act, which are in Sanskrit referred to as Ichha Shakti, Gyan Shakti, and Kriya Shakti.
So the answer is desire, knowledge or to know, and the act to create.
Yeah, so what can you, how can you relate them with your outer being? Which are the 3 parts of your outer being?
Desire is the mental being.
Ma'am, desire is the emotions, ma'am, know is the mind, and ma'am, act is our actions that we do.
No, so which are the 3 beings? We have the physical being which acts. Then
mental being.
No, don't run. From physical being, then higher than that is the vital being.
Vital being.
Which has desire. Then you go higher, then you go to the
mental being,
which is the knowledge.
Which has the knowledge. So which are the 3 beings? Come on.
Vital and mental.
Physical, vital, mental.
Ma'am, simple, vital, yes, ma'am.
Physical, vital, mental.
I want to ask, ma'am, that vital being and the emotional being, are they same?
The same thing. The vital is the word that Sri Aurobindo has used for the emotional being. That's why many people don't understand vital. Vital is where all the energy is, the force is. Because without the vital, we can't do anything. Now, if the vital, and the vital is very strong. So the mind is saying, "Padhai karo, we must study. Exams are around the corner." But the vital being says, "Hey, there's still 1 week left. I can easily go for the movie with my friend. I can easily go and have dinner outside." And the vital becomes havi, becomes stronger than the mind and suppresses the mind. Right? The
So it
vital
brings impulses.
Yeah, it brings impulses of desire. And the vital can also become very havi on the physical. The physical is saying,
Manifestation.
yeah, the physical is saying, "I'm very tired. I can't do anymore." But the vital says, no, I have to be able to get this salary increment. I will slave drive my physical body and go on and on and on slave driving my body. Because the vital is very, very strong. So that is why our last talk was on refining the vital. The vital has to be refined. It has to be turned inwards. Right?
Yes.
For the next question, you also have to raise your hand and give the answer. What are the 3 types of yoga? Yes, Yuvraj.
The 3 types of yoga are Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Karma Yoga.
Very good.
Absolutely correct. What are the perspectives of science and spirituality, that is yoga, about energy resources? Both these are contradicting in nature and they have their own perspectives. So please raise your hand and give the answer.
This is spirituality. Science
and
with a
spirituality.
capital S and spirituality with a capital S. Spirituality about energy resource.
We can say that science says energy is there. Without any source, the energy is there. There is absence of source. But in yoga, it says that there is a source through which energy is being percolated in amongst us.
Saransh, would you like to add something?
I would just like to add one word, that conscious source.
Perfect.
Very nice.
Science misses the word consciousness in its true sense.
Yes. So the answer can be summed up as science says that there is an everlasting energy without a source, And yoga says that there's energy due to a conscious force.
Yes.
Kudos to all of you. Next question. For this, please give your answer in the chat box, as is just a one-word answer. Based on Shraddhaluji's session, what would you call a process to enter yourself, turn towards yourself, or be immersed in yourself? Siddhi gave the correct answer, that is meditation. Okay, the 30th question. Please raise your hand and give the answer. What example did Shraddhaluji give to make us understand that a particular species is connected as a whole to a unified consciousness, and one change in anyone impacts the whole race? Saransh?
It is explained by ma'am also as well in the session before that a group of scientists went to an isolated island where there were monkeys. So what they did was that they taught them that you should go and wash your fruits in the seawater before eating. So these monkeys imitated and started doing like this. And what they saw gradually was that the monkeys of different islands, different places, far off lands, which were not in contact with these persons, these monkeys were also influenced by them, and they were also affected, and they also started doing the same practice.
Absolutely correct. Just one correction. It's not fruits. It was vegetables. Now, let me just give the answer to you. So the answer is the scientific drive in Japan on monkeys where teaching one group to wash vegetables automatically resulted in all the groups of monkeys in different islands imitating the activity. Well done, Saransh. So now let's move on with the last question. And for this, you also have to raise your hand and give the answer. How can we invoke our strength to deal with challenges that we encounter? Siddhi, you raised your hand.
This was told in Anjali ma'am's session by being sufficiently silent.
Yes. Krinali, would you like to add something?
We can justify this with a quote that speak only when your words are better than your silence. That silence leads to a better condition, a better answer towards your situations, challenges.
Exactly. So your answers can be summed up in a single sentence, that is by silencing our mind and bringing it to a calmness. It is only then that we can bring peace to our inner being. So that was it for our quiz. I hope you all had an amazing time. Thank you everyone for your wonderful participation. You all participated enthusiastically. And again, this was not based on competition. Like Anjali ma'am had taught us, God does not test us. So we do not test anyone either. This was just a recapitulation of all that we had learned, the beautiful lessons that we were taught in these past few days. And the basic aim was to unite and be spiritually conscious. So thank you everyone for participating in this quiz.
Excellently formed quiz. Excellent. Really beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, can I ask you something?
Yes.
Ma'am, why are you such a devotee of Sri Aurobindo?
I'll tell you the reason. So around in 1988-89, I was very religious, and I was very, very religious, puja, part, and this and that. But I had questions, and those questions were not being answered through religion. Then I started going to certain swamis. I will not take names because each one has helped in the growth. So I went to certain swamis and 2 years followed their whole thing, and Atma Bodh and lot of other literature I read. But my questions were not getting answered still. My question about the oneness and yet the difference, the variation. I could not reconcile the variation and the oneness. I could not reconcile falsehood with God being everywhere. I could not understand these things. And I kept praying to the divine within that give me answers which are clear, lucid. Where does this falsehood come from? If God is only one, then where does this falsehood come from? It is not one with the good. And then by God's grace, I chanced upon Kirit uncle, and Kirit uncle, Kirit Joshi ji, who took me on the path of Sri Aurobindo. He answered my first question with 2 verses from the Isha Upanishad, Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmanyevanu Pashyati, about the oneness. He said, first you understand what is oneness. And then I chanted those 2 verses, and slowly he explained the whole Isha Upanishad. And then he explained in the light of Sri Aurobindo how falsehood, how God himself says in the Gita that falsehood is, I am only this falsehood, I am only all this. But the scientific explanation was given to me through Sri Aurobindo, his book, The Synthesis of Yoga, Life Divine, Secret of the Veda, letters on yoga. And at least the mind became very clear, because till your mind is not clear, and the mind and everybody, all the Swamis were telling me, this whole universe is only an illusion. You don't exist. This universe doesn't exist. All this is just Maya. So I said, what about me? What am I doing? He said, when you will get enlightened, then you will understand. I said, Arey Baba, abhi kya karna hai? Give me some rasta. What am I doing here? I don't want to waste my life on earth. But they had no answer, because they said, you just keep reading these books. One day you will be enlightened. But Sri Aurobindo gave a clear map of what is to be done, how this universe came, how God became, how God expanded and became. Nothing is illusion. This table, this laptop, all this is the divine only. There's only one substance, right? So that is why I went to Sri Aurobindo and stayed there. I didn't have to look further. All right, Adhyayan?
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Adhyayan.
Immense gratitude to Anjali ma'am from all of us. Thank you so much for facilitating this, first thinking about it 4 years back, and then each year doing it so excitedly and bringing in all the speakers. You're really too gracious. Thank you so much for being there.
All good things have to come to an end. So this too has to come to an end. But there is no end. It's only a continuation. And we will go on and on and on. Okay? Okay. We'll end with a minute of silence and gratitude to the Divine for having given us such moments full of Ananda. All right?